The purpose of this video is not to complain that vegan restaurants in general are garbage, and it's not to complain that the website Happy Cow is garbage. We're going to repress the urge to say exactly those things in this video. We recently had a bit of a round-the-world trip from China to Thailand, from Thailand to France. And what struck us, and a lot of vegans feel this way or deal with this, on the one hand, there are a lot of really lousy, really disappointing vegan restaurants at all price levels. Mm-hmm. There are disappointing, elite, very, very expensive vegan restaurants, and there are disappointing, cheap, low-end vegan restaurants. And juxtaposed with this is the Happy Cow website, which, for one thing, forces you to give all vegan restaurants a minimum rating of 2 stars, 2 stars out of 5. You can't give them 1 star, you can't give them 0 stars. So they're forcing you to inflate it. Mm-hmm. And also, it just seems voluntarily the vast majority of people contributing reviews. There's kind of review inflation. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's a conspiracy of the restaurant owners to post positive reviews.
No, I don't think so either. I think it's just that people are so happy to see a vegan restaurant that they have lower standards than what they would for
that's part of it.
Restaurant.
And the website itself has rhetoric suggesting to you that you should support the vegan movement by giving positive reviews to these restaurants. And I got a notice like that when I tried to give a 0-star review to a restaurant. I was like, oh no, well, you should give them encouragement because they're doing the best they can and they're supporting the future of the movement. Mm-hmm. Is the future of the vegan movement awful food? or just
mediocre,
just disappointing food?
Yeah, right.
Because again, the disappointment thing is very much relative to the price level. Right?
Yes.
If you're paying a certain level, a certain amount of time and money, or maybe waiting.
It's also disappointing compared to the ratings that were provided. And a lot of the reviews that were provided
You're right.
from the places that we went to were good and positive. But then when we went there,
You're right. The Happy Cow really makes it worse in exactly that way.
Yeah. You get all excited and you're like, oh,
right.
I'll try this new place.
So, look, real quick, all of Thailand is overrated. Thailand is the most overrated thing on the planet right now, especially for vegans. They're the vegan demi-monde, right? Like, to start with, Thailand is overrated, full stop, right? She'd never been to Thailand before. I've been to Thailand a million times. I live there. I can still speak enough Thai to get by, I guess. You know what I mean?
Well, you were lapsing into Thai when you got back to China.
So. Yeah. That's the problem is I've studied too many languages. So I was speaking Chinese every day that I went to town. But anyway, I got back into speaking Thai. If I had time to brush up, I could probably speak Thai pretty well. Mm-hmm. But anyway, time to take a course or hit the books. But anyway, we flew there. And I did take you to at least a couple low-end vegan restaurants.
Yep.
Vegan restaurants that are cheap and by Thai people, for Thai people.
Yeah, we went to one that was very traditional Thai. At least you said it would be.
Right. And I don't think you enjoyed the food.
No, but it was a good experience,
Yeah, it's culturally interesting, but no, I don't think for you, I don't think the food was enjoyable. I kind of narrated to you the ways. No, I don't know if you go as far to say the food was awful, but you tolerated the food.
It's pretty bad.
Yeah. It was. This is also a difference between eating at a restaurant and eating at your cousin Morty's place, right? You're nice to your cousin Morty. He made this effort for you, But if it's a restaurant, it's a restaurant. There are standards and expectations that apply. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Now, also in Thailand, I think we went to just one super high-end luxury vegan restaurant.
Yes.
Right? So we only did one like that. And again, so the price was very, very high. And the environment was, air-conditioned and gleaming and so on. And, I would say the food was very disappointing.
Yeah.
In that case, I can't say the food is bad. Like, I can't say it's terrible or even, but again, it's relative to a very different standard, right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, at least I got to try taro fries, though. That was interesting.
Yeah.
But, and also everything was organic there, so that really drove up the price.
Oh, that's right.
It really didn't need to be.
It's an excuse to drive up the price, right? Because, with vegan food, the ingredients you're talking about are all really cheap. Lettuce is just not that expensive. You know what I mean? Taro, potatoes are not that expensive, when you actually look at it. The single most expensive ingredient in that meal was avocado. Avocado is a little bit expensive in Southeast Asia, But, that's about it.
Yeah.
And, we basically got a pile of greasy mush on a fancy
fancy bun that was colored with charcoal to be black.
Yeah, right. So All right, what am I saying here? Let's do France. Let's do France too. France to me was on a whole nother level.
Oh, man.
First of all,
Felt like such a ripoff.
Where we were in France, there was basically no such thing as a cheap restaurant. Like the cheapest meal for two you're going to get is like 40 euros. That's like a cheap meal at a restaurant. And then on Happy Cow, there were all these really positive, glowing reviews. And the food was bad enough in these vegan restaurants that if my cousin Morty made it, I wouldn't even probably let him. I'd probably be like, thanks for trying, Morty. That's not
suggestions.
That's
for how
not
to
really. That's not really how you cook lentils, Morty.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's not really what I'd call lasagna, Morty. You know what I mean? Like, you try to be nice about it if your cousin made it for you, but it's not your cousin making it for you. You've taken the time and the money to sit down and do this.
Yeah.
And the food is, tolerable. But so does, and again, people feel like the future of the vegan movement is going to be going on the internet and praising these restaurants and pretending there's something they're not. So look, here's the other thing, right? I think one of the myths we live with is that if vegan food is good enough, it's going to entice meat eaters or it's going to make the transition easier for meat eaters. Obviously, there is some truth to that, whether it's 5% true or 10% true or 50% true. I mean, it's never going to be convincing. You're never going to have an ideological meat eater sit down, eat a vegan burger, and say, this vegan burger is so good, I'm going to throw my leather couch in the garbage. That's never going to happen, right? Obviously, there are a bunch of... But nevertheless, it's true. You're easing the transition for meat eaters, and it's a significant question. How good are the substitutes? How readily available are the substitutes? This is the question. But it seems like you're really damaging the movement when you do the opposite. If you set up these restaurants and they're expensive and the food is lousy, and then meat eaters go to them, meat eaters may look at the review on Happy Cow or some other site, and they go to them, and it's like, I just paid 40 euros for pizza with no cheese. Yeah. And it's not even as good as getting pizza with no cheese at a normal meat eater restaurant, let alone pizza with cheese or something, right? I just paid 40 euros for this, crap lentil dish or whatever it is you managed to get, which is not as good as even going to a normal Middle Eastern place. If we admit there's some truth to having good substitutes available, helping the cause, then presumably this is really harming the cause.
Yeah.
I would have felt that way with any of the dedicated vegan restaurants that we saw in France.
Yeah. Well, one positive, if I can make a positive out of it, is that going to the vegan restaurants in Thailand and France made me really appreciate the vegan restaurants in Detroit.
Yeah, and Detroit...
They're really good in comparison.
Detroit on the internet, it gets reviewed as one of the 10 best places to be vegan in the States, and it's having a lot of good vegan restaurants.
Yeah, those vegan restaurants I think actually would help people feel more confident about the transition into a vegan lifestyle. But I don't feel that way about a lot of the places that we went to in France.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unfortunately.
So, I mean, it hurts my heart.
However, the grocery stores in France were pretty good for vegan options, like vegan substitutes.
Yeah, grocery stores. Yeah. It's kind of a separate story. I feel Germany is one of the best countries in the world to be vegan because of the grocery stores, not because of the restaurants, because of what's available at the grocery stores and how it's available. But look, in terms of what inspired this video tonight, we just got takeout from a new vegan restaurant here in China, in Dehong, China. And this reminds me of a pattern I've seen in Taiwan, again, when I was living in Taiwan. The people who run this restaurant are sincere ideological vegans, at least the owners. Believe me, they had writing on the wall, literally writing on the wall, explaining veganism as an ideology. And they have no eggs and no dairy. It's not just vegetarian, it's really vegan. But the question you have to ask yourself is, well, okay, these people, their hearts are in the right place, they're supporting the movement, but are they really restaurant people? Are they really food people? You know what I mean? Like, I remember going to places in Taiwan, and typically it would be a middle-aged woman who had kids and then couldn't get back into the workforce or just decided to retire, a woman in her 50s or something. Her kids have already gone to college. And she decides to set up a vegan restaurant because she believes in veganism or she believes in Buddhism or both. There may be a religious aspects, here in Asia. So veganism and or Buddhism, right? But she's someone with no background, no experience running restaurants, and no real interest, no passion for cuisine and stuff. So the results are very often mediocre to terrible.
Yeah.
They're disappointing. We can leave it at that, right? So it's a real bind because you and I mean, I think every serious vegan has thought about, should I be in food services somewhere? Should I try to open a restaurant or a bakery or something? But I'm self-critical enough to know if I'm going to run a bakery, I got to go to baking college. Even if it's just for 6 months or something, you know, I've got to take some courses.
Yeah.
You know I don't bring to this already a skill set to make that successful or just make it adequate. Like, forget successful, adequate. You know what I mean? It's tough.
Yeah. For some reason, I still feel more confident that we could make better food than Bada Boom.
Yeah. I do feel confident that we would make better food than many of the vegan restaurants we actually went to on this trip. Yeah, which was across such a strange cultural diversity of places. Right. Here in Yunnan and in Thailand and in France and so on. Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, look, and what is the future of the vegan movement? I mean, you know, it's hard. I think a lot of cities, I think what I'd like to see happen is people putting together charities to make vegan food more convenient at subway stations, whether that's at something like a hamburger stand, hot dogs, vegan hamburger stand, obviously, vegan hot dog stand, or a kiosk or whatever it is. But I mean, even if you have a vegan corner store with vegan potato chips and vegan chocolate bars, like, I know that, I mean, it's junk food in the truest sense of the word. But, you know, at an airport or at a subway station or something, I mean, you know, I almost feel like we need to have a drive for that kind of food, as terrible as it may be. And then on the other hand, I mean, a small number of people are trying to make a name for themselves or make a name for the movement or just live a lifestyle. A lot of it's lifestyle driven. We had a long conversation with this woman in France who opened a vegan restaurant, and
it sounded like something that she was really passionate about, saying, like, this is for the animals, like, this is something that I've been wanting to do. Okay, however, she just opened it up, you know, less than 2 years ago, and she's itching to leave. She's itching to close up shop.
So that's very interesting. So you remember that. I mean, that's true. I also remember her saying that. But you see, my memory of that is totally muted, because she also described her reasons for running that restaurant being she wanted to go to the beach every day.
Yes,
she wanted to have a cool place to hang out. You know what I mean? Like, there were these lifestyle elements where it was like, well, are you running a restaurant or are you on vacation?
Yeah.
You know, that was what I was hearing. But you are right. She also did say that stuff about it being motivated by and for the animals. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, you know, you have mixed motives. You have a kind of conflict of interest within why are these people doing this?
Yeah.
And I guess the fundamental difference between the meat-based restaurants and the vegan restaurants is that with most meat-based restaurants, the customer comes first. They're making the food people want to eat. They're making food to please the customers. And with vegan restaurants, there's this list of other things that come before the customer, whether that's kind of ideological purpose or these lifestyle concerns or what have you. Yeah.
Yep.
That's a wrap. Vegan restaurants are garbage and Happy Cow is garbage. And it's only making it worse.